The 1970 Topps card, number 360, is a baseball card with a story far more valuable than the dollar you need to buy it. The card features all-star center fielder Curt Flood, and in the top right corner it says in big yellow letters, Phillies. But he never played for the Phillies, and why he didn't changed baseball forever. In October of 1969, to cut ties with slugger Dick Allen, who was disillusioned with Philadelphia and had been demanding a trade, the Phillies cut a deal with the Cardinals, sending Dick Allen, along with Cookie Rojas and Jerry Johnson, to the Redbirds in exchange for Tim McCarver, Byron Brown, and Curt Flood. Only Flood refused to report. He didn't think the Phillies were any good, which they weren't, and he had heard too many stories about the racist and abusive fans, especially in the treatment of departing star Dick Allen, which they were, and he thought Connie Mack Stadium was a dilapidated dump, which it was. So he didn't go, and he forced a challenge of the league's reserve clause that kept a player bound to a team that originally signed them, even after their contract had expired. He left a $100,000 contract on the table and walked, writing to the commissioner, "After 12 years in the major leagues, I do not feel I am a piece of property to be bought and sold irrespective of my wishes. I believe that any system which produces that result violates my basic rights as a citizen and is inconsistent with the laws of the United States. It is my desire to play baseball in 1970, and I am capable of playing. I have received a contract offer from the Philadelphia club, but I believe I have the right to consider offers from other clubs before making any decision. I therefore request that you make known to all major league clubs my feelings in this matter and advise them of my availability for the 1970 season." He was asking to be the first free agent. The Phillies demanded compensation for the missing player, and so the Cardinals sent them 2 rookie prospects, including Willie Montanez, who ended up being quite a player in his own right, nearly winning Rookie of the Year. The Phillies were made whole on the deal, and then some. Curt Flood, though, he stood his ground, and took his case all the way to the Supreme Court. Flood v. Kuhn came before the court in 1972, and Flood ultimately lost the challenge. But he kept fighting, and the Players' Union took up the cause, and in 1976 successfully negotiated new contract rules that brought about the era of free agency for all players, all thanks to Curt Flood, who stood up for what was right. The federal government would later pass the Curt Flood Act of 1998, revoking baseball's antitrust status, permanently stopping owners from controlling the players' contracts and careers. Flood also helped bring about the 10-5 rule, also known as the Curt Flood rule, which states that when a player has played for a team for 5 straight years and has played in Major League Baseball for a total of 10 years, they have to give consent to be traded. Curt Flood went into the batter's box and put down a sacrifice for all players. He gave up his career so that every other player had a chance at a better one, and the salary that he gave up meant billions in future free agent contracts for others. The Baseball Hall of Fame states that players will be considered for on-field achievements, but also for integrity, sportsmanship, character, and contributions. His stats aside, his contribution to baseball was and continues to be incalculable. The Hall of Fame is for players who change the game and leave a permanent legacy in their wake. The Hall of Fame is for players like Curt Flood, and I hope they realize that soon. One of the most significant Phillies baseball cards of all time is for a player who refused to play for them, a $1 piece of cardboard history. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you want more, and tune in next time for more baseball card stories, legends, and lore.